Okay, so now our sample board is dry, the micro primer. And as you can tell, it's got a very scratchy, sandy coat. And it's preferable that you let this dry minimum of 8 hours, overnight preferably. Now we're going to throw a base coat of Marmerino on it. We're going to center load the trowel with our material. And we're going to use an interlocking overlapping S pattern as we do this. And we're going to migrate across the board or across the wall with a little slight organic movement. Just something slight, nothing major. Just something not straight. Once again, we load on the center of our knife. And everything we do, we always come out at an angle and we overlap. Try not to make the strokes too long. You don't want them to be overly obvious. And try to make the replacements of the knife somewhat precision. You know, you need to learn proper control of the knife, and that comes with experience. And even in your corners, you want to come out at 45 and try to keep everything organic. And you might want to lay it down nicely. That's your base coat of Marmerino. That will need to dry a minimum of 24 hours. Okay, so our base coat of Marmerino is dry on your wall, and of course you want to check over it for any little nicks and burrs, detail and clean. And of course we've cleaned up retaped the tape, so you likewise do the same on your baseboards. And we're going to take a base coat of our Glassello, low profile set for your material, center of the trowel, and you're going to apply it just like you did the Marmerino, a short, interlocking, overlapping S pattern throughout the sample. The Glassello does tend to go quite a ways, so you don't need an enormous amount on your trowel. Now we're running a little bit low, so we'll reposition it to the center of the trowel. Some people like to get rid of that. You can, certainly can. Center of the trowel again, and continue on. Out of the corners, maybe a 45, something organic. Crisscross it, always doing something a little bit organically different. Maybe throw a little motion in that trowel so that you don't end up with straight tool marks. This helps to build your marble movement throughout your structure. Maybe we want to come on and tighten up an edge. Precision placements. Just kind of clean it up a little. And we'll let that dry a minimum of 8 hours. And we'll proceed with our last two final coats. All right, so our sample is now dried completely. And if you notice, here in the center, let me move that for you a tiny bit. That last stroke I took was like putting a second coat. There was a small little deficit here. I did that on purpose to show you that you should let those go if they're just tiny, because you can end up creating something that will not be conducive to beautiful glass. So remember, this is one coat of Glassello on top of Marmerino, which is on top of the micro primer. Now we're going to take our clean tools again and do the same thing. Apply a one all over, except this time we're going to pay attention to the drying, and we're going to immediately put another coat on at the point that this reaches 85% dry. You'll see what I mean here in a bit. All right, here we go. So we're going to load in the center of our trowel, and we're going to do just like we did before, except this time maybe we're going to start in a different place. We don't want to start the same way. We want to keep it organic. Move your way across the board. Always keeping everything organic. By organic, what I mean is nothing straight. Try not to do anything straight. Even those little drop-off marks that I'm leaving there can be a problem. This is very much a thing where you have to be in total sync with what you're doing. If you notice there, we had a small ridge and it made a little bit of a chatter. I should have checked that better. I'm glad it showed up so that I can point it out to you. Those kind of things are going to happen. Reposition the material in the center again. And again, organic. Short, interlocking, overlapping S patterns. If you need to do a little detail touch-ups, you can. I should have been good enough that I didn't do that, but you're going to find that it's going to happen. And when you do, make sure that it's organic when you make that placement. Another little trick is all your corners are probably going to be a little bit hollow because they get a little bit less. So edges and corners, if you want to throw a tiny little bit of extra in there so that there's a little bit of something for the material to work off of, like here I can tell this is going to end up being a little thin. So maybe we come in and we drop a little extra here and there. That might show up a tiny bit thin. All right, so now what we're looking for is for this to hit 85% dry. And right now I would call it 65. I'm showing you another angle now. So I have my tools cleaned with my material, bucket of water ready there. I also have my compression trowel tuned and ready to go with my folded paper pads, my spray bottle and my wet rag, and of course there's our sample. Cleaned my tools quickly while I was waiting, and I prepared a little area that I've showed you just now on another clip, and my material stands ready. We're at about 85% right here. And the thing that you don't want is if you have a heavy dark like that in the center here, like maybe this one, those are danger zones. Those are still a little bit fresh. But we're okay, we know that. So we're gonna go ahead and put the final coat. Now here's where the trick comes in. When I apply this final coat, after I've made it from point A to point Z, I wanna put these tools down and immediately pick up my trowel and my rag, my compression trowel, and begin my compressions. Again, we're going to load on the center of the blade, and we're going to begin applying. This time, we want to try to make it across the surface relatively quickly. Notice how I'm staying organic and I'm not doing anything too obvious in the pattern. Trying to basically create a little bit of a marble structure. I'm going to center that again. I offloaded it that time, and we're going to continue. I chose to go at a 45 this way because I noticed the last time I went the opposite way. So I'm improving on that now. Now that we've made it across that board, blend it into our areas there. Don't worry about leveling down too much because our compression is going to do all of that for us. All right, so now I'm going to quickly set these tools down. And as I told you, I'm going to get the compression tool quickly, and we're going to compress. Notice that the trajectory is a driving forward motion. And what I'm doing on this initial is we're trying to get the material to lay level on our first few passes. We're not really worried about shine, even though we're going to get shine. Now, since it had some material behind it, it's starting to dry up really quickly. Plus, it's 110 degrees outside. That's what we deal with here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take my mist spray bottle. I'm going to test it out here to get a fog. And we're going to fog the surface. And we're going to give it another compression with just a slight amount of fog. Nothing heavy, nothing crazy. Don't go water park on it. The moment you begin to feel it pull again, go ahead and give it a slight vapor again. This will allow you to manipulate the material while it's beginning to fall into love. It is not in love right now. It is simply being laid down flat. I'm going to take my rag, I'm going to clean it up, and then I'm going to manage my water a little bit because, I got a little bit, maybe 5-10% too much there. You never want to do that on a wall. You want to discipline yourself not to do that. So cleaning each time. Now we're going to run it upwards because we haven't run it in this direction yet. And you notice there's a little bit of drag on my knife, so that's telling us that maybe we need to release that tension with a little bit of hydration from that bottle, right? Now, so we're going to get that, and we'll continue on. Now, the most unique thing about the way that I do Glassello is that we continue this process until we've gotten it as good as we think we can move that. Now, I went past the edge, and you'll notice there's trash. Would never touch it to the board with that. So the moment you go past an edge, you want to make sure that you have cleaned all of that off of your tool. So now we're getting towards the, a little bit further along in the cleanup stage here. I'm kind of cleaning up that bottom area a little bit. Being careful, because there is some stuff that has fallen down there. So now, after it's gotten to this point, we want to set that down and we want to get our pre-prepared folded shop towels. These are highly absorbent. And what we do is we come through and we pick up any top moisture. And then we begin to clean up any residuals of water trails or anything that we had. Paying careful attention that we don't pick up on the end and smear it across the board. Same thing on your baseboards or your ceiling line. And now we're beginning to get a little bit of the depth coming into it. And I'm going to tell you the biggest secret to it right now. This is just now beginning to get what we call in love. Now I go over the edge or any danger area and I pick it up. Take that off the board. Rotate that to a clean area. Take it off the board. Get that out of your way, so that that's not any danger for you as we're going on through this process. Get rid of that rag. Get a new one and continue your cleanup and the polishing. I can tell you that 20 to 30% of the depth comes at this stage right here, the polishing in between your compressions. Now, as I stated, the material is just now in love. Anytime you get like that, you want to go to a clean side. The surface is just now in love, so we're going to pre-test that spray back out here. We're going to give it a little bit of a fog, and we're going to continue our compression because the material now is ready for us to bring out a shine. Although we're still moving the material more level each time, we're really now working more towards shine. And that is a natural occurrence of compression. It's not a burnish. A burnish is a rub. And that's a big no-no. For those of you who don't know, that's a no-no. We don't burnish anything. That's a very amateurish way of producing a shine. And in my book, it's incorrect. Now, the question that everybody asks, you probably are asking it right now in your mind, what about those lines? Those lines completely disappear as long as they're not a water trail. Now I'm going to give it a little hydration on the edge and do a little bit of precision compression. Ride that knife along that front edge. Wipe and clean. Give it a little bit of moisture along the top. You'll do the same thing on a ceiling line. It allows you to traverse across there safely. Same thing here. Working our edges. You always give your edges more attention than the center. Always. Now I'm going to grab another camera and show you what the sludge looks like. I'll keep that one filming. This is what it looks like from different angles. It's really from different angles. It's really hard because it gets reflective. Now we'll show you in a minute when it gets reflective. Now we'll show you in a minute when I polish it. So now we're going to take our clean rag again, dab up any surface water that is sitting there. And yes, there is some. Up here there was some. And I'll show that to you on the rags. It's moisture there. So once you have that up, you begin to lightly polish again. Now, some other questions you're probably saying right now is, well, when do you stop? I mean, you know, we only did this job for so much. Well, that's your first problem, and that's a whole nother video series. How do you bid this properly? Now I picked up some residuals, so I'm going to get rid of that. So to answer that question is this. We stop when we can't push it any further, and when there's a greater risk of ripping it than there is to producing more shine. So, I'm going to grab that other camera. I'm going to leave this one running. I don't know how I'm going to edit those out. I'll show it to you later. But what I'm going to show you is at the stage that this is at in drying and in polish and in reflective. Grab that other camera for you. Okay, this is where we're at. These little spots you're seeing there are the edges, just so that you know what we're looking at. And we will try to get these completely out, but as you can tell, it's beginning to take on that telltale mirror. Now it's drying, so this is what we have from the face on. Gives you an idea of what we're looking at. All right, so I put that other camera down, and I'm gonna clean my blade. I'm gonna make sure that that blade is perfectly clean at this point because this is at great risk. So we're gonna test our vapor again. We're gonna throw out a little bit of vapor, and we're gonna continue that compression process. You notice my knife kind of drug a tiny bit there. That's telling me that the surface is starting to get very flat, and it's making 100% contact with my blade. So the level of difficulty for controlling your blade from damaging increases the further you move in the Glassello world. Now most people, they want to take and hammer any of these little ghosty spots over and over again until they respond. Well, the truth is, it's not you hammering them, it's where they're at in the stage of drying and in love and the way that the material can react based on where it's at in that dry stage. Now, I will tell you this. A wall does compress easier than a sample because you can use bigger, longer strokes from your head height down to your feet, and it enables you to be much more productive. However, there would be somebody finishing out this final stage of Glassello as the rest of the guys are moving forward. So the stopping point is when you feel it's good enough for what you've done. We like 100% flat. There are some measures that you can take. Again, you're going to dab to improve the board once it's dry. You can polish out patches or edges. Let's say that there's a light socket here and maybe we didn't get great polish around the edge because we didn't want to touch the receptacle. We can polish that out with 5000 and bring that shine up greatly. So again, I'm doing what I did before, paying attention to the edges, making sure I don't get wet material across my board. And we're pulling up all of the milky slop. Where that got dirty now, we'll fold that in. That side's dirty, and this is exactly why I make a pad. So that on the fly, we can flip that over and continue on, because we're actually drying this surface as we're doing this, and of course I hit the edge, so I'm going to turn it again and work this edge. These absorbent towels pull the moisture, which puts the material further along the stage of in love. So you would do this on your ceiling lines, your baseboard, around receptacles, and the general area, because you want to clean that up and you want to get into any highs and lows that possibly were there. Now, on this one here, I'd probably go one more. Now the reason I have to go one more is I created highs and lows on that last coat. So the lesson to that is this. You want to try to learn to apply without producing high lows with your application. That's a little bit of a trick. All right, we'll sit that down and we'll take a look at it. Not too bad. In me seeing it, I see a few little areas that can be improved on, right in here, right in through here. There's various numerous ways that we can do that. We can continue with this process. Probably a lot of what's going on right there is, you remember that little chatter we had earlier on? Where I had a little piece of something and it made a small chatter? All those things have an effect on the plaster and its gloss level. So yes, this material does still respond. Now, you can't really see it in the camera. If you were the applicator, you would see it. Each time I do this, it gets richer and richer, shinier and shinier. So, some of you are probably saying right now, well gosh, he's gone over that 1,000,000 times. Yes, when you're at this level, there is really not much of a margin for mistakes. So, something that you should know about Glassello work, or trying to put something to a glass marble is that it's going to force you way beyond what you did before. So here's where we would dab to get any surface water off. We wouldn't want to smear that water. And then we'd give it our final polish. If you were here where I'm standing, you'd see that it's beginning to take on a blue mirror quality. There are some minor issues that if this were a wall with this particular color and the way that I applied it, leaving some little issues here and there, we might have to buff those out with 3,000 and 5,000 to make it perfect. But this towel is around 6,000, so we'll get it all cleaned up with this as much as we can. Do you have to polish this much? Yes. It's like a baby grand piano. Don't think you're going to be able to wipe a painter's rag over it and call it good. It's something fine. So yes, you will have to polish to get things uniformly shiny, especially on edges. All right, we'll let it dry up and we'll let you see what it looks like. It will change because all these darks will go to the original color with some slight movement. And there you go. A blue marble mirror, Glassello.